Now that ESL Pro League is wrapped up, the 2024 Blast Fall Final is right around the corner. So let's take a step back and look at some of the participating teams heading in. There are storylines and narratives cooking for every single team in attendance, so it was hard to choose, but I'd like to pick out a few teams and take a closer look. So today, I'm going to pick 4 teams I think have the most compelling narratives heading into the event. This will be more of a casual, unscripted type video, more just giving my thoughts on what to keep an eye on. So let's take a look at Astralis, Liquid, NaVi, and Vitality. Okay, if we look at the teams who are attending here, I think the best and most obvious team to look at first would be Astralis. They're coming in with a brand new roster, signing Cadian, be their rifling IGL. Not laughing, just surprised still that this is actually real. This actually is happening. It makes sense to me. I understand why they did it. It's a perfectly logical thing to get him for Stown and Yabby's sake. And supposedly, in the press release, they said Cadian had always wanted to get Device at Heroic, so I don't think it's bad. But they are here under slightly dubious circumstances because it came out that they used or abused, really, an emergency sub rule to get Cadian in, after the roster lock. It was at least almost 2 weeks before, or after, I should say, the roster lock was when Cadian was announced to be on the team. So they abused this roster rule that is really only for illness, injury, and travel disruption for an emergency roster replacement. And that's how they got Cadian in for Bro. Multiple teams said to HLTV and 3 others who are attending the fall final, so 3 of the other 7, privately expressed doubt on the legitimacy of the request on medical grounds. So this is a hilarious way to show up as already having kind of a target on your back, and in the most Astralis way ever, just making it worse for no reason. But if we go back and just look at the roster, I think this is either the best or the worst Astralis that we'll see all year. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of middle ground here. I think it's going to be really one or the other. Stown and Yabby are back with Cadian, which I think is significant enough to mention. If you look at Stown, clearly he's not the player that he was in the height of Heroic. I mean, it's just, you watch the games, you read the fucking forums, it's obvious. I don't think Yabby is suffering to the same extent, but I just don't think these guys are in the right system yet. And clearly they were at their best, both individually and team accomplishment-wise, kind of inarguably under Cadian. So I don't think it's a bad move on that ground. What I am worried about is how Cadian and Stair are going to play together. If they give Cadian a lot of the roles that Stair was playing, because I think they should have kicked Stair for an IGL and not kicked Bro. I think Bro was always going to be the scapegoat of that last roster. It's just the meme of the support player, I suppose. But I don't know how Cadian and Stair are going to play together. I think Stair is going to have to change roles again. If that's the case, it's going to be his 3rd time. The last 3 rosters, basically, he has changed roles now 3 times. I don't see a world where Cadian is playing Bro spots. Let me just put it that way. I don't see a world where that is happening. So that concerns me, because on T side, is it going to be Yabby and Stair on kind of the prongs of the map, the 1 and the 1, and then the pack is Device, Cadian, and Stown? That makes sense to me, but who knows? That's what I'm going to be watching for. And on CT side, I think they're going to make Stair play all the bullshit spots that Bro is playing. The spots that no one wants to play, because you get shit stats. You just do. I mean, you get nothing. You get the least resources, and you have to do the most with the least. But we get to see Device as an opera again, which I think is great, because he clearly has been doing his absolute fucking best, despite being an IGL. He hard carried Astralis through these 2 matches, and they didn't even win versus Complexity, but this was honestly just hard to watch. Device was doing everything, and it just wasn't enough. So, again, I made a video on Astralis. I think Device is great at calling around himself. I think he clearly still has the start talent. I think he's 29. Yeah, he's 29. The guy still has it, but the good thing is this is not a make or break event for Astralis, because they're playing Rio as well. But it is an important debut, and if they do well here, get top 4, which I think is not impossible, considering they're in a group with Vitality, Spirit, and Liquid. So they play Vitality in the first matchup. I think that'll go to Vitality, but who the fuck knows? They'll play the loser of Spirit Liquid if they lose that game. So I think it's totally possible that they'll make it to top 6, and who knows? They can make it to top 4. Who knows? Who knows who they get placed up against in that first round matchup. So definitely one to watch for. Let's look at Liquid now. They seem to be heating up. I don't think anybody can deny that. Certainly outperforming the initial expectations considering the roster construction. I don't think anybody expected Ultimate to be this good. I don't think anybody expected that. Maybe Pasha. The only playoff impression that we've had from this team was at Pro League, where they totally owned Complexity, just smashed them, but then got totally trucked by G2 the next day. And this was really just, they got run over, particularly on this last map. Monacy just went out of his damn mind. So it was interesting to see Liquid be, run down just totally individually like that. They haven't really played a match. Even when they lost to FaZe, it was more a failure of the system. Even that Mirage comeback, it wasn't just FaZe individually popping off. Liquid just choked. In addition, I think their T side is looking weaker. Yeah, Pro League, they had a 46.5% T side win rate. But if you look at fall groups and the play-in of Cologne, the first 2 lands that they played, they had 53.2% at fall groups, and they had something crazy. Yeah, 61.8% at Cologne. So I think this is the end of the honeymoon, so to speak, where the IGL starts being red. So that's going to be something to look for. Ultimate is taking an insane amount of opening duels. He's taking 24.4% of the total opening attempts, and he's winning 59.5% of them. Ikinder's taking more, and he's only winning 48.2%. I mean, that is just an insane amount of production. What's his opening kill per round? Yeah, 0.14. I mean, what is the... Yeah. Look at who he's next to. Look at this top 5 of opening kills per round so far since the player break. Ultimate is leading, only matched by Mobs and Donk. I mean, that is just a ridiculous amount of production per round. Naf is playing great on T side. Can't fuck with that. And Twist is playing great on CT side. So even if he's calling around himself, which he is, I don't think that's a super controversial thing to say. I think the system is good. I think Twist is doing a good job. I think there's reason to be confident, no pun intended. I think they are a good dark horse for this tournament. And if they do well, if they get top 4, almost certainly they will break into... They have to finish 6th or 7th in this Blast leaderboard, and they don't need that many points to get there. If they finish top 4, absolutely. If they finish ahead of Astralis, absolutely they will qualify. Just depends on how good Astralis does. Because if Astralis does great, then they have to beat out Mouse. So I think it's important for Liquid to do well here. I think the pressure is on them more than anybody else. Their initial matchup is versus Spirit. To be honest, that's a tough one, but judging by just the way Spirit have been playing, I just am losing confidence in Chopper, and I'm gaining confidence in Twist, even if it's flimsy, because I think the T side is going to be make or break this tournament. Like this is the land, now that they've played 3 real lands, 2.5 really because of fall groups, but this is the event where they have to really show what they're made of. It's either this or Rio. If they don't have a top 6, top 4 finish at one of those 2 events, I think everyone's just going to know that this is, just to run out the clock until the beginning of next year, because everyone's waiting to see what the season will look like. But if they win against Liquid, then almost certainly they'll play Vitality, but they could be playing Astralis, either one of those. If they lose, they'll play the loser of the game. So I don't think they have a particularly hard group. Certainly it'll be fun to watch, and I think they can make a real run. Let's take a look at NaVi. I think without a doubt, NaVi is the best team in Counter-Strike right now, just by fundamentals. T-side macro, T-side trading, coordination, utility, just I watch them and I am so consistently impressed. And I think for good reason. They've already won 2 events so far this season. They've won EWC, second at Cologne, and they just won Pro League today. So clearly they can both attain and now maintain form. They won the major earlier this year, but then bad result at Pro League, bad result at Dallas, second place at Spring Final, losing to Spirit, this BO5 curse narrative that now is done, thank God. I think there's reason to be excited. Bit and JL are playing out of their goddamn mind since the player break. I mean, look at these T-side numbers. That is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I mean, who expected JL to play this good? I mean, he was the major MVP, and people since then talking about it like a Tarek MVP, and I just don't think that is going to age particularly well. JL even credited the experience, I assume, of Blade and Alexi today for being able to close out this series. I'll be honest, when this went to Dust 2 today, I thought they were done. I thought if NaVi were going to win, they were going to have to do it on Inferno. I thought that they were just not going to be able to close it out if it went to Dust 2, but it did. They got pretty significantly beat on Inferno, and then they were able to stay in it and close it out. So their first matchup is versus... Oh, yeah, and, the Blade Instagram post, just fucking goated. Absolutely goated. Banana Cup. Fuck it. Their first matchup is versus Falcons, which I think should be easy peasy. Never underestimate your opponent, obviously, but I can't imagine that they're particularly nervous about that. They're probably thinking more about who's going to win this game. Probably G2, probably, but who knows? Copenhagen, Buff, Kerrigan can do anything. So I think NaVi should theoretically be first place in this group. I think they're better than all these teams. Just on recent form, they're better than all these teams. G2's playing great. FaZe is really wishy-washy, and Falcons is just bad. So they should be first in this group, but we'll see. But they're coming on hot form, and they're already qualified to the World Final because of the majors, so they're good to go. You know, they can come in and just play. They just won. They'll be feeling good. Maybe they'll be asleep this event because they just won. But let's see. The last team I kind of want to highlight as a favorite, or one that really could take a lot of heat in this tournament, is Vitality. They're the number 1 HLTV ranked right now. A lot of people, like Twiss on the Talking Counter podcast, a lot of people are saying they're really the number 1 team in CS. NaVi is great, but Vitality just kind of have it all. And I think they've kind of earned that reputation, considering that they beat NaVi in that best of 5 against NaVi at Cologne. So, no, Vitality are a super legit team. You can't fuck with these numbers. I mean, ZywOo is just doing ZywOo shit. Spinx is actually playing good. What's disappointing, however, is they drew literally the easiest fucking bracket that they could have drawn. Guaranteed grand final. My pick'ems are humiliating for multiple reasons, but just the easiest bracket draw you could ask for, playing Eternal Fire in the first match in the quarterfinal. They would have played MIBR in the semifinal to play NaVi in the grand final. I was very excited about this. It was a rematch of Cologne. It was a best of 5. It would have been hopefully 5 maps of bangers, but instead Vitality lost to Eternal Fire immediately. If it's any consolation, they did make it all the way to the final. They took NaVi to 5 maps. I think Eternal Fire actually looked super legit this tournament. Super legit run from them, even if, again, it was kind of an easy bracket, beating Mongols and Vitality and taking NaVi to 5 maps. I mean, that's just super legit. So Vitality just have to shake it off. Obviously, it's embarrassing. They would have loved to have come in here and win. Considering the last Pro League, they also had a pretty embarrassing exit. They just did not show up whatsoever in this grand final versus Mouse. This was just kind of nothing. But they shook it off. They were second place at the next event they played, which was Dallas, and they lost to G-Stu. So is this team cursed a little bit this year? Maybe. They haven't been able to really recapture, besides Cologne. I still think they're super legit contenders. And what's actually kind of exciting and weird to me on some level is how much the little roster scuffle that happened this summer seems to have actually helped this team. Xtaz confirmed that Spinx was free to explore other options. The last event at Spring Final before the summer break, they didn't say who they were thinking about. They just, Spinx was open to leave. And I thought when I first heard this that it would be kind of the end of the roster, especially because ZywOo and Spinx are kind of historically a combo, but it's been actually the opposite. I feel like they look more coordinated. They're more in sync when it comes to macro, coordination, teamwork, all this stuff. And Spinx has been playing like a motherfucker. I mean, look at that. That's like a... Yeah, man. Look at that. From 1.15 to 1.21. Yeah, so it's definitely noticeable. I feel like I'm kind of watching a different player when I watch Spinx now than the first half of the year, just eye test wise. I feel like I was frustrated watching him a lot the first half of the year. And now would be the time for them to really start ramping up in form, because they got 2 more events. They're already qualified to the World Final because they won Cologne, so they don't have any pressure on really any of these events. They can just focus on playing, focus on getting stronger, focus on really just being the best team in the world so that they can peak at Shanghai. Again, their first match is against Astralis. Who knows what Astralis will do? They could be insane. People said this shit about Liquid when they went to Fall Group. So I think Vitality should win this, and they'll probably play Liquid. But I think Vitality, again, if they're going to be a legit contender, which they should be, I think they are kind of the best team in the world on their day. They should win this group. I mean, I don't think it's a question. Astralis is brand new, Spirit is shaky, and Liquid is still unproven. And they're the number 1 team in the world. So I think it's kind of their group to lose. This is going to be fun to watch. So that's how I feel about who to keep an eye on and what I think the potential shape of the event might be. But what do you think? Which team are you most excited to watch? And which of these 8 do you think will have the most surprising result? Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know what you think of this video format as well. I enjoy doing these sort of unscripted prediction type videos, so if that's something that's fun for you to watch, please let me know and I'll do more of them. Thank you.